Hi guys, Charles Dewandeler here with another video tutorial. Today I'm going to show you how to easily color correct your photos. I'm going to show you two different photos. One is this photo of a leaf that I took, and one is a photo of me that my friend Antonio took 10 years ago. Now, first step, I always, actually for this step I don't need to, but just for the sake of trying it out, I'm going to copy and paste and make a new layer, because I like to edit on my new layers. Next step, I'm going to crop this photo in particular because it's a little bit widescreen, and I'm going to crop it for Instagram. So I'm going to make it 1:1 and crop it like that. I think that looks pretty good. Okay, now on to color correction. In the old days, I used to use image mode. Wait a minute, where'd it go? I think I have to click the layer. There we go. I would go to image adjustments, brightness, contrast, hue, saturation, and edit like this. Nowadays, I don't do that anymore because I found out a better way from watching video tutorials. Look at this. Go down here to this little circle thing, click it, and it gives you different options. One option we're going to do is levels. Instead of brightness and contrast, I like to try and use levels. I'm going to click levels. Now watch this. It creates a separate layer above the picture. This is so much better than editing the actual picture itself, because any adjustments that we make here will not affect the picture. This is called non-destructive photo editing, because we're not having a layer up here and editing these levels is non-destructive, because if we click that, the picture underneath is not affected. We're only adjusting on the top levels. So here's what we're doing here. On levels, we're really adjusting brightness and contrast, but it's just called levels. Here's the problem with this photo. It's too dark. I took the photo and I took it too dark. Either my shutter was too closed or something. But look, we can easily fix that. It's not like completely destroyed, it's just a little bit dark. So we go here to the levels. At the bottom of this level is black. That's why this little arrow is black. This, you can't really tell, is like white, and this is gray because it's in the middle. So this white one is showing that right here is 100% white. None of this image is 100% white. This is all empty. We get a little bit of white here, and that's probably from the very edge of the leaf. Let me zoom in actually a little bit now that I cropped off part of the image. That's part of the reason I wanted to crop it for you too, is not just for Photoshop, but also so I could zoom in a little bit. All right, so as we can see, like this whole bit of the picture is too dark. Like there's no brightness there. What we want is we want the edge of this to be at 100%. So we're going to take this down, and as we bring this down, we're telling the computer, we're telling Photoshop, we want this to be 100%. And as I do that, it does look, I'm getting a little bit closer to the image. I don't want to go too far, because then, see, we start to lose the detail. It starts to blow out this stuff. We don't want to blow it out. We want to keep the detail, but we just want it to be something like that. I think that looks pretty good. This black level, we can make the blacks darker, but in this image, I don't want to make the blacks darker. I want to pretty much leave that. Wait, let me just go just slightly. Just boop, just slightly. Let's go just slightly more. 3, 4, 5. Okay, that looks good. Five looks good. We just cut off the very bottom part, the very bottom 5%, we just cut off. Now, let's brighten just slightly. Okay. And now this gray one in the middle will bring up the midtones. It'll raise or lower the midtones. So if we go to the right, it's making the midtones darker. If we go to the left a little bit, it's bringing out some of those midtones. I actually like that better. I want to bring out a little bit of the shadows. Oh wait, we didn't do anything. We went back to 1. And back to 1 means nothing. It means it's back where it was when we started. Let's go just slightly. Let's go like that. I kind of like that. This is really up to your own personal preference. This is my personal preference, but your personal preference might be completely different. All right, so now the first step of color correction is getting the contrast correct. Now we've got the contrast. Now we can affect the actual color levels. One way we can do this is with hue saturation. We can adjust the hue, right, to make it all weird, funky stuff. We can adjust the saturation, make it black and white, make it like super saturated. As you can see, if I go a little bit slower, you can see the slower increments of it. I'm going to, for now, leave this at 0. And then I'm going to go down here to my favorite color correction thing, which is color balance. So we click color balance. Now color balance is at the top here. Now watch this. These 3 dials, RGB, red, green, blue, can let me adjust the image. Now, if I make the image more blue, it'll look cold, like for winter or snow or nighttime, you might want it more blue. Here's what that would look like. Make this a little bit greener. Maybe the green we can leave alone, but then the blue we would make it more blue. So the red we would make less red and more cyan, and make the blue more blue. Now look how much colder that looks. It looks like it's winter. It's cold outside. Or we could do the opposite. We could put this back to 0, put this back to 0. That's what the image looked like originally. What if we want to make it look warm? We're going to add orange to it. First, we can start by adding some yellow. We're now removing blue and adding yellow. And then because yellow by itself isn't going to make orange, we add a little bit of red, because adding red and adding yellow will make it more orange. Maybe bring some magenta in there. Now this is starting to not look good to me. The blue of the cold look kind of cool, but this doesn't quite, it's not coming across to me that this is warm. The colors are bleeding a lot. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to go down to 0. Now watch this. Here's a trick that I learned about color correcting. Let's say we want to make the whole image look more orange, but we don't want the colors to bleed. We can bring the saturation down significantly. Like let's say down to here. We could go completely black and white. Well, okay, just for the sake of argument, let's go completely black and white. Then we'll go up to color, and then we'll put the yellow, we'll crank the yellow, and we'll crank the red. And now look, it looks like a World War II picture or something, or Civil War picture or something like that. We don't want to go to that extreme. We just want to make it look a little bit orange, so it looks like bright daytime. So we're just going to take the saturation from 0 down to, let's just say, about -30. Now, actually, this, by bringing the saturation down, it actually does look more cold, to where if we went like this, that would look even colder. But we're going to try and do the opposite. We're going to add some yellow and add some red. Maybe add a little bit of magenta. Yeah, the trick is adding too much red makes the red bleed, and that's the part that I don't really want. And then if we want, we can go back to levels again and raise the brightness even more. We can go back to hue saturation and see, again, because all of these are non-destructive layers, we can go back and forth and adjust each layer individually, and it's not it's not causing any degradation to the original image, because if I turn these off, the original image is still there. It's completely fine. But all these adjustments that we're making to it, see, I don't want the red to bleed. See, as I go to the right, I can see it bleeding on my monitor, so I want to bring it down a little bit. Anyway, long story short, that is how you can adjust the tones, and you can even play with it a little bit more than I am. and get different levels. To me, what looks better on this photo is when it was a little bit colder. And if we were trying to do like a winter effect, that would really look cool. Now, let's go to the picture of me. So that's, that's a leaf, right? What about editing pictures of people? We're going to do the same thing. I'm not going to adjust the brightness and contrast because I think the brightness and contrast is really good here. So it's good that I showed that to you on here by adjusting the levels, because look how much, better that is. This, the brightness and contrast, Antonio did a good job with that, getting the right levels. So I'm going to leave it the way it is. What I'm going to adjust is just show you how I can adjust the skin tones and stuff. Let's create a color balance layer. Now to me, it's hard, it might be hard to see, but to me, it looks just slightly reddish. My skin looks slightly reddish, and the hair looks slightly brownish. It should not have as much red in it. So I'm just going to go to this cyan tool and watch. Just going to bring it down just slightly. Man, and that's like magic. Look how perfect the color is now on the shadows. Now, just to adjust my skin tone just slightly, I'm going to add a little bit of yellow and a little bit of magenta. And boom. I think that looks pretty awesome. All we did is we just went to this color balance tool and we just adjusted the red, green, and blue just slightly. Added a little bit of cyan, and I like to add just a little bit of magenta and a little bit of yellow just for the skin tones. Just as my own personal preference, other people might do it differently. But look how perfect those shadows look now that we added that cyan to it. Now let's look at it before and after. Before, a little bit reddish. After, perfect. Reddish, perfect. Reddish, perfect. Okay, now let's get into some effects. I know what you're thinking. What if I want to be more artsy-fartsy and do some weird stuff with this? Okay, here's what we do. Let's add another layer of brightness, hue saturation. Let's bring saturation down. If you want to go completely black and white, you can go like that, right? I just want to bring it down. Now I'm going to add another color balance layer, because I don't want to delete this one because I want to look at the before and after. Let's add another color balance layer. Let's make this one like a bluish. Wait, what if we go all the way? Let's just see what happens. All right, just for the purpose of just playing around, let's do it like that, where it's we're exaggerating way beyond. Now, okay, I'm just thinking for a second. Now let's try something. Let's take this and we'll highlight just half of the image. I'm just showing you just for effects, like this is just a random thing that you can do with some of your photos just to see, what you want to do, like artsy-fartsy stuff. Feather radius, let's do 100 feathers so this edge is feathered. Copy, paste, but I'm going to put this on the top level. Now watch. Because of these layers, we're seeing these layers underneath, and then we're just seeing half of my face on top. Now, let's just adjust my face a little bit on top. Let's go to hue saturation. Oh wait, you know what? I take that back. I don't want to do this because watch, if I do that, it's going to adjust both layers. Let's delete that. I want to only adjust this layer. So I'm going to go up here to Image, Adjustments, Hue Saturation, and now I'm only adjusting the right side of the image when I do that. So let's bring this down. And now let's go to my favorite thing, Adjustment, Color, Balance. Now let's make the left side of my face is blue. Let's make the right side of my face red. The way to do that is just adjusting these the opposite way I did the other one. In fact, let's just go all the way to the red. It's kind of bleeding a little bit, so I don't really want to go that far. Let's go further with this, further with the yellow. Yeah, here we go. Now we're starting to get somewhere. Now this isn't exactly, I wouldn't really post this online exactly the way it is now, but I'm just playing with it just to show you how the contrast of colors can look and how it's really up to your own imagination. If you want to take a photo of somebody and the photo looks like this and you just want to change the colors just for fun, you can completely do that. And now it goes from, actually let me just do this. Let's put this on top so I can do it in one click. You can go from this to that, this to that, this to that. You can, and you don't have to do blue and red. You can do any color you want. We could make this more orange adjustments. Now see this, it's stuck this way now because I can't go back to the original. I'd have to start over. I'd have to go back to this one and copy it and everything. So because I did it destructive, I affected that layer. But let's just go back to color balance. Let's just make it a little bit more orange and less red. So this is what it looks like with blue and orange. You know, blue and orange are opposite colors, so they look cool when you put that contrast in there. Also, other opposite colors that look cool are green and red, yellow or gold, and purple, so purple and gold. If we wanted to make this color balance, for example, purple, let's see how we can make this more purple. So we make that purple, then we go to this one, image adjustments. See, we're going for opposite colors, so we want purple and gold. So color balance, make this more yellow, and kind of, yeah, we don't want that to bleed. This doesn't look as good as the red and the blue, but this, you know, this looks more like Guardians of the Galaxy, which Guardians of the Galaxy is cool, but I'd have to do it a little bit differently to really make that work. So this is purple and gold, right? How else? Contrast, edit, step backward. Edit, step backward. I actually like this better. I like the blue and the red better, actually, my personal opinion. Now here's the other thing we can do. Let's say we like blue and red, but we think that this line in the middle of my face, because that what's bothering me is this line in the middle of my face is too obvious. We can go like this, and okay, let's do this. Feather 300. Let's do select inverse, delete. Now look at that. Look how quickly we did that too. So here's before, and here's me just pasting my face on top. Just a really rough pasting of my face. Boom. And now we can adjust the opacity too. We can decide we don't want it to be full this way or full this way. We can kind of do a blend in the middle and find what looks the best. And I kind of, I kind of like it full, but I kind of like it a little, I just like it a little bit in there, like that. And now, look, it gives the effect that there's a red light on this side of my face and a blue light on that side of my face. But we know, because we know what the raw footage, the original picture looks like, it's just regular colored lights. There's no special colors on the lights. But when we add these effects to it, we can make it look like there's colors on the lights. And that's all done just with color correcting. So it's not just about again, just color correction in the sense of fixing the color, because we took this photo and the color was just slightly off, and then we color corrected the color, but then we added more effects to it just for the fun of just messing with the colors and trying to be more creative, and came up with that. So here's an example of an image that's just a photo of nature that I took, and kind of different settings we can do to quote unquote color correct a nature photo. And here's an example of quote color correcting a picture of a person. So if you learned anything here, if you got any cool tips or feedback, feel free to like this video and comment underneath it, and subscribe so you can see more videos in the future. And if you want to do a solid for me, if you want to help me out, check out some of my other stuff. I've got a website, charlesdewandeler.com, where I've got, I'll scroll up to the top. That's me. That's a picture of me from a few months ago. So this is what I looked like 10 years ago, and that's what I looked like a few months ago, like 9 or 10 months ago. Scroll down and look, there's a children's book, there's a couple of novellas, here's a comic book, Ghost Wranglers, here's a video interview of me, here's my book about superheroes, here's a short film, show steal, a short film, Take Me Back, a feature film parody movie which you can watch for free on Tubi. These you can watch for free on YouTube. So feel free to check out my books, feel free to check out my movies, charlesdewandeler.com, and thanks for watching, guys.